The international break has come and gone. However, it was an international break like no other. There was a lot of activity all across the globe. There was the Nations League, there was the qualifiers across the world. A few countries booked their tickets to the World Cup next year, while some other found themselves languishing towards the bottom of their group, e.g. Nigeria. However, it was really an interesting one. So welcome to today's video, guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be talking about the standout moments from the international break that was. So without further ado, let's get into it. Well, the first point here is Japan. The Blue Samurai of Japan became the first team to qualify for USA, Canada, Mexico 2026 next year. And that was a really interesting one because I was happy for them, obviously, because it was Japan's 8th consecutive World Cup tournament. So the Blue Samurai of Japan at the World Cup, they are known, I feel like they are known for, they play good football, but they're actually known for one thing: their fans. Their fans are so, well behaved. They clean up after themselves and all of that. Even the players in dressing room clean up after themselves, always spotless, So Japan have a really, really good reputation at the World Cup. And of course, they play really good football. I remember the knockout stages in 2018 against Belgium, where they sadly lost, but it was due to a brilliant Belgium comeback 3-2 in, I think, the round of 16. Japan had gone 2-0 up, So it was a thrilling game. Japan always bring up these moments in the World Cup where they will give you something to keep you on the edge of your seat. They are not usually favorites, but they have these interesting games, especially in the knockout stages. In the last World Cup in 2022 Qatar, Japan had this game against, I think, Croatia, and I think it was in the round of 16 as well, where they went all the way to penalties again, So Japan have this, once they get to that knockout stage, it's always like, sadly, they get to lose, but there's always a very, very, either a game going into extra time or a very, very interesting game featuring Japan. So good luck to the Blue Samurai. By the way, I got the Japan jersey recently, so maybe I might be supporting Japan since Nigeria had no one correct. But anyways, the Blue Samurai were the first team. The Blue Samurai of Japan were the first team to qualify for the World Cup, aside of the hosts who had already qualified, USA, Canada, Mexico, by virtue of being hosts. So that was a good feat for them. Going on to the second prompt now, that's the UEFA Nations League. Now, the UEFA Nations League was really interesting in this past, in this international break that was. There was I don't even like to call it a competition, but I'll get to that part eventually. The competition, just for lack of a better word, had gotten to the final stages now. I think the quarterfinals. So there were a couple of teams left, and then there was home and away games that got 4 teams in the semi-finals. And so these games have produced really, really interesting. They were really interesting watch. And then there was also World Cup qualifiers ongoing for other teams that were not longer at that stage of the competition. It's hard for me to say competition because I don't know. Anyways, let me just go into that part now, because again, I ask, what is the status of the Nations League? Because is it another Euros or is it another, I don't know. Because I remember when the Nations League came about in 2019 and they said, it's to remove dead rubber friendlies or something like that. But then you come up with the Nations League and you make things more competitive, and a lot of players have complained about this. I think Courtois, De Bruyne, more high-profile players, like they don't know what the Nations League really is about. But then I noticed something that Courtois and De Bruyne, Belgian player, De Bruyne especially, like Belgium was in this quarterfinals of Nations League against Ukraine. They were trailing 2-0 down from the first leg days ago, and then days later played in Belgium and they won, and they took it really serious, and they won the 3-0. They lost the other game 3-1. So I think players don't think of the Nations League seriously, but just like any other thing or tournament, or when it gets to the latter stages, you're like, well, we are here already, we might as well win, right? So the Nations League has brought about a very competitive thing that I don't think is good for the game, especially because we are in the era of, this is the season where so many high profile players and managers have come up to talk about the fixture congestion and how there's so many games being added to the calendar. And then I now found out that you have a quarterfinals in Nations League where you still put in the rules that the matches have to go to extra time. Why, for God's sake? Why do matches in the Nations League go to extra time? It is the Nations League. It is a small, even if it's a tournament, it's a small tournament. It should be 90 minutes straight to penalties. Why are you playing 120 minutes in the nation? And then, interestingly, 3 of those quarterfinal games went to the extra time. Spain versus Netherlands, extra time. There was a game I watched, France versus Croatia, extra time. I don't know what we're doing. Portugal versus Denmark, extra time. And these players will go back to their clubs, and then you expect them to play on Friday, Saturday. Like, I think when I have, concerning this fixture congestion thing, I've spoken about it a couple of times. I've expressed my opinion on this in an article that I wrote. I've expressed my opinion on this on a podcast. I have always been on the side of the players in this thing. For the record, I've never not been on, and I don't care what people think about the money that footballers earn. This is absolute nonsense. Like, I don't know what we're doing. We can't. These people are not robots. I said it on a podcast that this thing is simple for me. Football is a sport, yeah, but without the players, there is no game. Without the players, there is no game. You can play football without the fans. Yeah, the fans are important. They get you revenue and all. But there is no game without the core of football are the players. Even without a ball, you can still play football. Because people have used so many other objects to play football. If you really look into it, the most important part of the game are the players. You can use another object to play football. It is still football. You play with your foot, and you still want to score a goal. The objective is still the same, just like you're not using an actual ball or an actual leather ball. But if you look into it, the players are the most important component of the sport. Not even the ball, not even the stadiums. You can play a game of football anywhere, in your house, in your living room, in your compound, not even the stadium, not even the fans, nothing, not even the administrators. So if we don't look after the players, I'm not sure the future of where football is heading to. Also, it is no coincidence that there's been so many injuries in the past 1 year. So I think this seeing the Nations League go to extra time was, interestingly though, I as a football fan enjoyed watching. Me as a football fan, I enjoy watching any game that goes to extra time, because I feel like, I'm getting my money's worth for TV subscription. That's just how I see it. But then again, as a human being and looking at it more objectively, this is you are killing the sport by making something that's, you call something a tournament, but then they are not playing it at a stretch. They're playing it over the course of 2 years. And it's like you're spreading it, and then they play only every international break. That's not a tournament. Even if you want to call it a tournament, it just can't feel like a tournament. So there is no reason why that match should go to extra time. But anyways, semi-final, I think the Nations League semi-final are going to be played in, semi-final and final will be played in, I think, a neutral ground or in one country, I think. that was how the last one. But I was really concerned with that whole charade. I don't know if that's the right word, but I'm just agitated right now, so I might be speaking jargons. But like, it was not supposed to be. The games were interesting, don't get me wrong. Like, it was a good watch. Portugal, Denmark, brilliant game. Well, France, Croatia, brilliant game. France coming back from 2 goals down. Portugal coming back from 1 goal down. In fact, I think all the teams that won all overturned. Belgium also coming back from 2 goals. So it was the 3 games were brilliant games of football to watch. But I don't want to see extra time in the Nations League. Like UEFA, I don't know what the administrators are doing, because they keep on creating more and more and more and more. You brought about the Nations League, you brought about the Club World Cup. I saw something here that some players might play the Champions League final end of May. They play international break, because there's an international break in June, I think early June. Go for international duty early June. Then go for the Club World Cup mid-June, all the way in the US. So in the space of 1 month, some players are going to play 3 different tournaments entirely in the space of 1 month. And they're going to be traveling and then come back again in August to start it all over again in the new season. I don't know what we're doing. I think the administrators are really, and I know, well, all of this is about money, by the way. That's another thing. Let us not mince words. All of this is about money, purely about money. And for me, it's sad, but I think somebody said something on that same podcast I mentioned. Somebody else that was on that podcast said something that football fans have this idea of a world of utopia where they think that everything should work for them. They say, oh, okay, let me put it into context as a Nigerian sports fan based in Nigeria currently. When you pay your subscription money for DSTV or whatever and the likes, they say, oh, subscription fees keep going up every quarter. So footballers should better play because I'm working out to pay the subscription fees. And it's like, okay, well, you are right. But do you also want to see footballers dropping like flies? Like, I don't know what is because they say don't speak, and they earn this much money, they make this much money. And it's like also the dangerous thing about saying that footballers should not speak because they make this money is because you seem to forget that the footballers you see are making this much money are not all of them. These are the footballers at the top of their game. The average footballer does not make the money you think they make. Anyways, the average footballer doesn't play this much games, by the way. So I can at least see some logic in the point of fans that say that. But me, and I'm not here to convince anybody, I'm just here to state my opinion. I've always been on the side of the players in this conversation or argument or whatever, and I'll always be on the side of players, for the record. In case you quote me in 5 years' time, I will still be on the side of the players. I am not on the side of the fans. Absolutely not. Because every year, imagine some years ago there was a conversation about making the World Cup every 2 years. Imagine they made the World Cup every 2 years. There's Euros, there's World Cup, there's AFCON, there's Club World Cup, there's Nations League, there's so many other things. I won't be surprised one day they will start Nations League in Africa. I won't be surprised, really. There's Nations League, there's Club World Cup, then there's still qualifiers, and I don't know. Now this Champions League new format, every team had to play at least 8 games in the group phase, then still play an additional 2-legged game for the ones that didn't qualify automatically as top 8 teams. That was 10 games compared to 6 before. That's why the calendar is so congested. I'm a Barca fan here. Barca have to play Osasuna on Thursday because there's nowhere else to put that game on because sadly our team doctor passed away just some minutes before we're supposed to play Osasuna, I think some weeks ago. So that game had to be postponed. Barca has to play that game on Thursday, just 2 days after some of our players all the way in South America just played. So they are going to miss that game. They have to play that game on Thursday and then play again on Sunday because there is nowhere else to put. The calendar is so packed. So this thing is what really puts me off about the Nations League. So much so that I'm talking about it more than the actual football. Because when I saw it, I was like, surely this should not be happening. Who approved that the Nations League should go to extra time? Like, I don't know. I don't know. We need to protect players, but I don't think administrators care about that, obviously. They care about filling up their pockets. That's the way of the world. That's what the sport is, a business. So I think I'll just leave that out before I keep on ranting because If you've watched me already, you will know that I am always on the side of the players in this matter. So that's that about that. So moving on to the South American World Cup qualifiers. Now this one is really, really feisty because in South America, Argentina recently qualified, and so they qualified before playing Brazil, by the way, which is a game I want to touch on specifically because that the lead up to that Brazil match was crazy. Argentina last played Brazil 2023, months after winning the World Cup in 2022 December, and that game itself was also crazy because Argentina won the game 1-0, but there was so much trouble in the stands. I think Argentina fans were like the larger victims of the trouble, and both FAs got fined, by the way, by FIFA. But I think the Brazil FA got fined more because there were more victims on the Argentina fan base side. So it was a really terrible game for fans, for match-going fans, and it was hard to watch. I think the game even had to be paused for a while or something, and then but eventually Argentina won 1-0. That was a really crucial win, by the way. So before playing Brazil, they had already secured qualification hours before. But let me even take you back a couple of days before. There was the build-up to that game was heightened by, I think, Rafinha was on, I'm not sure if it was an interview or a discussion with Brazil legend Romario. I see Romario, I can't remember, where I don't know, maybe some things got lost in translation, or I don't want to quote him wrongly. Again, Rafinha is a Barcelona player, so I'm not here to paint anybody's image bad, but he basically said some things about they were going to beat Brazil. Was very sure that he was going to score, and I think he used the F word, but it was Romario who first used the F word, and it was like F them as in question, and Rafinha like corroborated and said F them. I was like, okay, so this is real, this is war, So another thing is Brazil have been playing badly, like they've been playing so bad lately, and I remember having a conversation with somebody that this Brazil team, even though they had won Colombia 2-1 recently, I wasn't convinced that they were, and the person told me they are coming up, they are improving. I said, I don't see the improvement, but this Argentina game would really tell me if truly they are improving. I was like, let's see the Argentina game. And that Argentina game, it was crazy. Argentina walloped them 4-1. And, Rafinha didn't score. he played a free kick that hit the bar, but that was about it. Rafinha there, and that game was obviously feisty. South America, Brazil, Argentina is you know what it's like. El Clasico is the most heated game in South America. There were so many personal confrontations. Vinicius and Rodrigo and Paredes telling Rodrigo, I have 2 Copa America, 1 World Cup, you have 0. Rafinha getting it heated with Otamendi, I think after he got fouled. Obviously, you know how these things go. 1 foul and then like the entire team versus the other team will just come together and start throwing words, insults, and then the referee will just observe it from a distance to see who is going to give a yellow or even a red card. So it was such a heated game, but the goals from Argentina were fantastic. And that's like, let's even leave the fight for now. The goals were fantastic. The first goal, the second goal, they were well worked. Alvarez, Fernandez, McAllister, and Simeone. I think Simeone's goal was the most unexpected for me while watching. Like, I never thought that ball was going to go inside the net, but the way in which he even went in, like he basically just roofed it from a difficult angle. That's like, bro, this Argentina team look like the real deal. They look like they could go to the World Cup next year and do something again. I don't know if they're going to win, but it will be really difficult. But this Argentina team, keep your eye on them because they have dogs in that team. Like, I think Argentina play good football, by the way. When I say dog, because people might see it as, it's just like dodged football, or like rugged football. Like they actually play well, but they know how to play that rugged football. So they combine it, and sometimes you need a little bit of both, especially in a competition like the World Cup. Where people will frustrate you, teams will frustrate you, and then you need to keep your head in the game also. So it was crazy because that whole game there was so many personal battles. Vinicius will fight with everybody. Vinicius was, I think allegedly telling people that he had 2 Champions League, and it's like, bro, this is Brazil. What's 2 Champions League are you talking about? You don't have any national team trophy with Brazil. Talking about 2 Champions League, but anyways, Rafinha on his own also got into fights. I was like, you don't need all of this. Like you guys are like, I don't know, this whole thing. Okay, yes, maybe you said all those things you said in that interview to like get your teammates hyped, but you can't see all of that. Go to Argentina, who had already qualified, by the way. That's another thing. If anything, they were the ones who had less motive to win that game. But, well, they were in front of their home fans and they were already hyped because you had said some things. And apparently, I saw something where they said some Argentina players had sent the thing Rafinha said to the group chat. So you had gotten them agitated. I think they're in front of their own fans. You might as well deliver, but you failed to deliver and lost, not just lose, you lost 4-1 to a team that had already qualified. You now are the ones that still need to qualify. You still need to, your qualification is not a guaranteed. So it was a really interesting game. Was Argentina absolutely battered them. Even the goal Brazil scored was like an error. A goal is a goal, but it was not the most deserving goal. But Romero just gave the ball away to Cunha and he shot the ball into the net. So that was like a really, really good game to watch, though. It was a really good game of football outside of the fight, but Argentina took it on the day. Lesson for Brazil because in the last 2 games now they've lost to Argentina. Argentina are the best team in the world right now. I think everybody agrees with that. I mean, they are world champions, but apart from being world champions, they are really, really good. They are the real deal. Even without Messi now, they've I think they're starting to grow out of playing with Messi now, because it's like, well, we don't know if Messi will even make it to the World Cup next year. He's been getting injured more frequently. So I think Lionel Scaloni, that's his new challenge now, because after winning 1 World Cup, 2 Copa America, you are the top, you are like the very top of the game. So you need to also find new challenges. Lionel Scaloni's new challenge right now is making Argentina play so well, even without Messi. And they seem to be doing it really, really well. So good for them. So that's that about the South American qualifiers, basically. And the last one here is New Zealand qualified for the World Cup. Now, this is not something that will interest everybody, but the reason why I put it here is Oceania. For those who don't know, Oceania is like the part of the world that has New Zealand, countries like Papua New Guinea, Tahiti, New Caledonia, Samoa, Fiji, Polynesian countries. I think Australia, some people put it at times, some people don't put it under Oceania. So Oceania now has 1 guaranteed World Cup slot of their own. So before now, Oceania, the Football Federation used to play whether playoff or something, and then the winner will get into a playoff with another country, I think from Asia. But now Oceania has 1 guaranteed slot, and they got to the last stage of qualifiers for that 1 slot, and the final was New Zealand versus New Caledonia, and New Zealand won 3-0. And I saw some comments from people saying, surely, like maybe not exactly saying it like that, but kind of insinuating that surely it can't be that easy beating, like everybody knows New Zealand will beat New Caledonia any day, anytime. I'm sure a lot of people watching this video have never even heard of New Caledonia before. They don't even know where it is on the map if I didn't mention Oceania. That's how strange it sounds, but they were saying, they're kind of insinuating, and I kind of get the point, because the World Cup qualification is harder in so many other countries and continents, rather, especially Africa, for example. where there's 50 something countries and only, okay, now we have 9 guaranteed slot and potentially 2 or 4 playoff spots. So it is harder in Africa, right? I think Africa is the hardest because we have the least in proportion to the number of countries we have the least slots. Because South America have like 4, and then there's like countries, maybe 12 in South America. So, and then potentially 1 playoff spot. But we have like the least, and still in proportion to the number of countries we have. So that means most African countries get to miss out on the World Cup. So people say, oh, why is it that easy for New Zealand to qualify? And I kind of get the point, but I think that here's my own theory. Somebody from the Oceania Federation, Football Federation, has gotten to the FIFA Council, or as somebody from the Oceania Football Federation is very, very highly ranked in international football right now. And it is the influence of that person that made this possible, that made Oceania get a guaranteed spot in the World Cup. Because I don't know, even because for me, I feel like I see both sides of the argument, but I kind of tilt towards the people who are kind of surprised that it's that easy for New Zealand to get to the World Cup. I kind of tilt towards their own side because yes, it is easier. It is easier. It's like New Zealand is the best team in that region, bar Australia. Australia are now playing in the Asian, qualifiers, by the way, which is also tougher, but it is a thing of, I think also people okay, let me explain this here. The slots that countries get for the World Cup, yes, it's based on strength and some other water break. Yeah. So I was saying that the slot that that continents get for the World Cup is based on the strength of the continent and the countries in that continent and all of that. But also it's also based on the representation that those countries have at the highest level. And UEFA has the highest, obviously, representation. Then continents like Africa, Oceania especially have the least. So I think that somebody from Oceania is now highly ranked, and I don't think the ranking is in a way that has ever been before. That person made sure and put their foot down that Oceania must get. I think that there was some opposition at FIFA. I don't know how much, but that person made sure, and that's the reason why, that's possible for New Zealand to qualify without even having to play playoffs. So now I also saw some people saying, Australia should come back to Oceania and make it tougher or make it easier for they themselves. I don't know what's going to happen with Australia. I don't know even what the rules say, because I know they used to play with Oceania before. So if you're going to AFC, that's Asian Football Federation, can you still come back? I don't know, what really is the rule. But what I want to talk, what I'm going to end this with is that representation at the highest level of football is very important. And this is why, even though I'm not a big fan of Amaju Pinnick, the former Nigerian Football Federation president and former FIFA Council member, who lost his re-election, by the way, into the FIFA Council recently. I'm not a big fan of him, but his slot in the FIFA Council would have done Nigeria a lot of good as well. I think people also forget that the decisions that FIFA makes that benefit or maybe do not benefit some countries or some regions of the world, they don't just come about those decisions. They come about those decisions especially in the FIFA Council, and based on the representation that the FIFA Council has. If the FIFA Council has representation, if it has people that represent maybe minority regions or really small countries, those areas or countries will probably get more things benefiting them, maybe more FIFA funding. So if Amaju Pinnick had won his re-election, maybe Nigeria will get some more stuff or something, maybe bigger FIFA funding. Obviously it doesn't really affect World Cup qualification or anything, with 9 slots, we should be, even with the previous 5, we should be able to qualify, you know. So it's not even really about that one. It's just me just saying basically how much representation at the highest level is important, especially for this part of the world or smaller countries or whatever. So congrats to New Zealand, by the way. You know, they're going to the World Cup, so it's a good thing for them. I think this is their 3rd World Cup, so that's good for them. Well, that's not about that for this video, and here brings me to the end of another video. So like always, if you've watched to this point of the video, I salute to OG, original guy. So thank you very much for watching. As usual, you know what to do, you know the drill. Share this video to all football fans, all sports fans. Take it very far. Take it to the east, the west, north, south. Share it to everybody basically. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, comment in this video, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you to all my recent subscribers and all the subscribers that have been there from the start of this journey. I appreciate you guys so much. I'll see you guys in my next video. Ciao.